Just finished designing this nice Charger Hellcat dash right here. Let's get it nice and packaged properly. Oh yeah, that's not gonna go anywhere. Let's package this bad boy up. Oh yeah, nice and snug. What's going on in here? What are you doing? Why is this box so full? What? This is wasting money. What are you talking about? This is exactly how much stuff needs to be in here, so you could make sure that the shipping companies aren't going to damage the products. On my calculations, if you carry the 1, subtract the 2, 15 cents per box, and packaging, extra packaging, we'll save $500,000 a year. What happens when the shipping companies damage these because they aren't packaged correctly? That's not my department. That's returns. So all this packaging, it has to go. This is a waste of money. Oh, perfect. There's nothing in the box. It's just a dash. What happens when the shipping company damages this? Shipping companies, they don't damage stuff. What are you talking about? You're overreacting. You just need to close this box up, and that's how it's gonna be. It's perfect, perfectly good. Don't even put any tape on here. We're gonna be fine. Only allocate this much tape. Yo boss, I heard you have a shipment for me. What's up, cuz? Man, I just have this dash that I need to ship. You know, finance department's really busting my balls on packaging, so if you guys could really be careful with it. You know, we're on limited funds. No, don't worry about it, man. I got you. We handle this very professionally. There won't be a scratch on it. I got you. And I don't know why they gave me such a big box. This isn't my job. Oh man, that'll buff out. Need a little bit of extra tape, I think. All right, this is better than how they had it packaged. Just another 1,000 miles this thing has to go. We'll be good. Man, I need to fix this so they can't tell. I think a little duct tape. Just get this wrapped up here. They're like brand new. I got a fresh delivery for Dave. Awesome, man. You have my new dash for my Hellcat? Yeah, man, this thing came all the way from Michigan. Oh man, I guess I'm just gonna have to file a shipping damage claim to get this, you know, the ball rolling and get me another dash coming. Bro, that's not shipping damage. That's exactly how I got the box. You know, I said, you know, when they gave it to me, you know, the guy's not gonna like it when he gets it. Welcome back to the channel. Today I finally have the replacement dash for the red Hellcat Magnum, and I'm going to get everything assembled, put this in the car. The great thing is all the gauges and displays are finally going to be in the car and actually held up, which is gonna be awesome. One thing that I'm still waiting on is the passenger side airbag, which is back ordered indefinitely. So hopefully when that comes, I'll be able to slip it in without pulling everything apart. I think I did that on my Challenger, but I still might remove the dash when I paint the car. So then I might just throw it in then, because I want to pull the windshield and actually paint that upper cowl piece, which means the dash has to come out. And I should just be able to pull that little silencer pad back so I can paint everything. First thing you're going to want to install is this thing right here. It's an antenna, and slip this wire this way, and then it just installs back here. If you forget to install it, you can't really get to it with the dash on. So it's a real pain if you have to pull everything back apart, which I don't want to have to do. So it just goes in like that and we're good to go. Another thing, when you order a brand new dash from Dodge, sometimes it comes with a brand new one of these and sometimes it doesn't. So if you have one of these that's broken, you may get lucky and actually get one of these with a dash like I did, or you might actually have to source another one, which I'm glad I didn't, because the one on my car, or my dash, I think was broken from the accident. If you're pulling your dash out for the first time, the best thing to do is to remove the steering wheel, because you're gonna have to remove the airbag anyway if it blew. And there is a Allen that's right here. It comes undone, and then you just have to undo all these wires here. I'm also going to remove the clock spring because it's a brand new one and I don't want to damage it. And then the dash actually slips in nice, because then you're not trying to get around. Some people try to get around the steering wheel. It's not going to happen. Don't even try. Even with the column all the way down, you want to remove this. It'll make your life a lot simpler. These things off right here on both sides. Zip tie on this side. So the best way to install the dash is to do it with both doors wide open. It just makes it a lot easier to get it in there. This way I'm doing it with the dash support already in. If you have the dash support and you're going to pull the dash pad and the support all out at once, I would definitely recommend pulling the driver and passenger front seat. It just makes it a lot easier and a lot less risk of damaging something. So since I already have the dash support in right now, and I'm going to pull both out later on, when I do it later on, I'll pull both seats, but now I shouldn't have any issues. Another thing I like to do is clean the dashes before I put a bunch of stuff in them, because it's really hard to actually be able to clean it. So now is the perfect time, because this is a leather dash, to clean it and do some conditioner. Most likely your dash is going to come from Dodge not very clean in the first place, even though it's brand new. All right, that looks a lot better than it did before. Now it's time to use some conditioner. This stuff is going to make the car smell great. When you get the dash, it doesn't look like it needs conditioner, but once you start to put it on there, it definitely, you can tell it's dry. They come and they're been sitting probably for a while. They're dry. Who knows? They probably came from India or China. They've been in a shipping container for ever in customs, but now, you know, it's nice and clean. Nice thing about doing this when everything is apart, you can get where the gauge cluster bezel seals all the way around it. You get some conditioner in there before you seal it up for the rest of its life. Now that the dash is cleaned and conditioned, I need to put the emblems and the vents in. These are a little bit difficult to get in. You just gotta make sure you're not gonna break them. They're kind of brittle. Next thing I need to install is the vent, and this was pretty dirty because it was sitting in the tow yard for quite a while. So I cleaned everything up and washed it just so it didn't have all that dust. And these vents actually go in pretty easy, but they're pretty hard to get out. You want to make sure that is nice and tight because it can come loose. And I've had brand new cars that I bought from the auction where those are actually loose. Ooh, brand new. Center console is really easy to install as long as you did all your conversions and prep work correctly in the beginning. Otherwise, it's a pain, but it just drops in just like a Charger would. So on the rear wiring, it is also pretty straightforward. So there's one wire that you're not really going to use, and that's for the brake lights. So on the factory Magnum tail lights, the brake light is up here with the running light, and then the turn signal is by itself and the reverse is by itself. The issue with how the light is set up is the reverse is fine and the turn signal's fine, but on the newer Dodges, they're pretty much wired up like a trailer. So the brake lights and the turn signals are the same light. So you're gonna have to run, what I do is I run my brake lights here and my turn signals here, and then on this top one, I just run it as a running light. So then I'm not going to have a separate brake light because there's no way you could separate it. So that being said, I just leave this wire right here. So this is the plug that would be normally coming off the Magnum body harness side. And that is a green white wire. You're just gonna leave that. That's for brake lights. And then the black white is ground. So I connect both my grounds to that one. And why I do it this way is because I'm eventually going to retrofit the taillight. So I want to keep all the extra wiring. The only wires you're not going to use ever, unless you put fault sense in a circuit board, is there's this white orange, and then there's this white brown right here. These are both fault sense. One's for the driver's side, one's for the passenger side. So I'm going to do this like I did on the front wiring harness for the headlights. And this is the top of the plug. This is the body side. And this first wire right here, this is a white yellow, and that is your right hand turn signal. And that goes to your white green on the Charger and Challenger harness. Then the next one to that is a white green. So you're gonna kind of get confused if you try to match colors up and wonder why things don't work. They don't match, the colors don't match. So the next one, the white green, is actually your reverse lights. And on the Challengers and Chargers, they have two wires for the reverse lights. As you can see, I have one that isn't connected. And the reason I have it like that is because when I retrofit some taillights, I'm going to actually split them how they're supposed to be. So just if you want to retrofit taillights, I would recommend keeping them. It just makes it a lot easier later on down the road. If you're not worried about it, you can just tie it in there if you decide to do it later. It's not that big a deal. And then the next one is that green white that we're not going to use. The next one is the ground that I said to connect both grounds to. And then the white purple right here is the last one in that row. And that is your running lights. So that's going to go to a white gray on the Challenger or Charger harness. And then underneath, you have one wire, and that is for your left-hand turn signals. So that's a white green, and it goes to solid white. So it's really simple. That's all you need. The rest of the wires, like I said, those two fault sense. The other one's a running light for the passenger side. And then we have some marker lights that I left in. I'm just going to kind of keep all those extra wires. So later on when I retrofit a bumper, I have the extra wires for the side markers as well as some other stuff. And then also you have your separate harness that is coming from the body, and this goes to your bumper harness for all your collision avoidance. So that's a whole separate harness. When I retrofit the taillights, I'm going to actually get a larger plug because there's not enough slots, and then I'm going to pin everything through this. So then I just have one plug, and since the taillights come up through here anyway, and it's part of the bumper harness, it just makes sense to have everything in one plug, and then I'll just have the taillights wired in like they would be kind of factory. So let's get all this wrapped up, and I'm going to kind of wrap all this wiring I want to keep behind. So it's all there, but it's just wrapped in it. and then we'll put the bumper on, tail lights. And another thing, you have to use LEDs. So I'd recommend just going and getting some LED bulbs. If you try to use these, the system doesn't like these. I'll have the interior pretty much all buttoned up besides the headliner, the door panels, and I need to have the seat belts re-webbed and reworked. But besides that, everything looks like OEM. Oh, the one thing you guys need to do, your car's not brand new anymore. You don't need these things on there. It doesn't, you know, unless you're gonna keep it with 0 miles or close to 0 miles, pull those things off. The same thing goes with the seats. But the last thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to add the motors, or the correct window regulator motors, so they work. In another video, I'll show you how to convert the doors and all the wiring, all that stuff, because you have to use so many different parts from so many different cars that it just wouldn't make sense to do in this. I'll make it its own video. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert the window regulator motor. You have to use a Challenger motor, but this bolts directly onto the Magnum regulator, but you have to retain the Magnum regulator because that bolts into the car. So there's a lot of people that do door panels, the newer style door panels, but it's complete hack job. So they go on there, it looks like they're good, but if you ever pull them off, it would be a nightmare. So I'm going to actually make something, and that's why I got the 3D scanner. So everything just goes on like it would from the factory, and you're not just cutting a bunch of stuff out of the door. I mean, there's not really any way to do it because the Magnum doors aren't the same length, so the panels don't cover correctly. So let's get these motors done. In another video, like I said, I'll show you how to convert the whole doors, because you need so many parts from so many different cars to make this work properly. This regulator right here is the Challenger regulator. Okay, these motors just come right off, and as you can see, it just has a little cog in there that turns a gear, and that's all you need is this right here. What you need to do is, these two are different. We have the Magnum motor gearbox, we have the Challenger motor and gearbox. What I'm gonna have to do is pull this motor off and put it on the Magnum gearbox so everything works like it would on a Magnum regulator. So it's pretty simple. You just pull out the 4 bolts, same thing on the Challenger one. Okay, then we're going to pull the whole Magnum assembly out. And it's just magnets in there. But I also need to pull this whole assembly off of here. There we go. Also, before you pull the Challenger motor out, make sure you don't pull on this, because this is really brittle, and pull from this. And it's kind of a pain. You have to pretty much get a screwdriver in here. Don't go into the board, because you don't want to pry on the board, but you just kind of start here on this tab and work it out, and then you get onto this plastic, and once you get it far enough out, you're just kind of releasing this cog, so you just need to spin it out. And now all I need to do is I need to throw this onto the Magnum one. So on this, what I would recommend is you have this plug on the top. So as we go like this, we know this is the correct gearbox from the Magnum. This is to the top, and all you're going to do is wiggle it in, and don't pinch your fingers in there. Wiggle it in and out, because it's going into a pin up front. So as you can see, there's a little pin that's up here, and if you're crooked, it won't go in, and you just go right in like that, put your 4 screws back in. And you have to use a Challenger motor, because the Charger ones are crazy different. it's like a whole assembly on a Charger, and it won't even bolt up to a Magnum regulator or this gearbox. You bolt directly on, make sure this is seated, and then there's a pin right here that goes in there, so you want to make sure everything's seated. And now all I need to do is flip this over, put in the 3 screws, and we can put this back in the car with the glass, and it'll work just like factory. Plus it has the fault sense, it has auto up and down now. All right, it's first time drive, and this is nice. Need alignment because the steering wheel's a little off, but I'm waiting to do that until I get all of the AAD suspension that I ordered for this car. The real nice thing about these when you do these swaps is everything just works really nice. You have all the newer gauges. It just drives nice. I mean, the car has barely 22,000 miles. We have good oil pressure. But yeah, let's take her for a little cruise just to get kind of the feel for it. Plus, another thing is it really feels way different than if this was in a Charger or a Challenger. I always like how they feel in Magnums. Like the swaps, it just drives so much better. It looks like it's gonna storm, but so far, so good. I put some good fuel in it. It had probably almost half a tank of kind of bad gas. It wasn't all the way bad, but it definitely was kind of getting on the edge there. But yeah, I filled the rest up with good gas, some 91, and I really haven't been pushing her too hard because I want to kind of get rid of that mixture of kind of shitty gas and good gas, so then we could kind of give her some good pulls. But yeah, so far so good. I can't wait to put all the interior and stuff in here because the rear, I just have the sub box kind of loose in there. It's rattling around. But yeah, other than that, I can't wait to do the suspension too. So we have all the drive modes, which is awesome. Just like a normal Hellcat, everything just kind of bolts in. I could change it 700, 500. She's kind of quick. Nice to finally have the red Magnum home sitting next to, I called the blue Magnum or Charger wagon, Rampage, whatever you want to call it, you could call it. But now that this is home, not the shop taking up space, plus I've been driving it quite a bit and it just is a lot of fun. The one thing I really like is that these feel so much more planted than a Challenger or a Charger Hellcat. For some reason, I can't put my finger on it, but I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna put scales on it and maybe do scales on a factory Charger Hellcat and see what it is. But I think it has something to do with the hatch structure because it just makes it a lot more rigid in the back. It just feels like it hooks up a lot better. And I still need to burn quite a bit of fuel out of this thing. So I still have half a tank. I want to get almost empty and then fill her back up with 91. We should be able to make the drags this week, which will be awesome. But I am going to end the video here. Really excited that this car is coming together. Like I said before, AAD, our Parker at AAD is doing some custom suspension stuff for this car. So I'm going to get a full suspension kit and it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to put it on the car, get a line, get the AC charged. But I'm going to end the video here. If you like these videos, make sure to click the subscribe button, throw a thumbs up, throw a comment below, share it with a friend, and as always, see you guys next time.